If XRP goes to 50, 100, 1,000, $10,000, the market cap for the asset is going to look absolutely absurd to most people. And we're going to break down why and how that can happen in this video. So many people look at digital assets the same way they would look at traditional stocks. There's a stock, it's traded at a value, there's an order book, there's liquidity at certain price points, and people are willing to buy and sell that asset for a certain amount on the secondary market or public market. And they take that, they multiply that price by the outstanding shares, and voila, you get a market cap for something. But this isn't really applicable to digital assets. Once speculation is gone, when there's real utility for these assets, the value is going to be in the protocol. This is something that Glenn Hutchins has said a couple different times at key points, and I would encourage you to go check out those videos. So what does that mean? If you had $1,000 XRP, it would be trillions of dollars in market cap. It would look absolutely ridiculous. And at $10,000, you have quadrillions as a market cap for XRP. So how is that possible? Well, the value of the asset is driven by the total transactions that are happening over the network or the protocol. What I could liken this to for most people that may have some relevance is, imagine you sent $1 every single time you sent an email. Imagine how many emails you send on a daily basis. Well, you do that through the email protocol, right? You could think about how many emails move daily. That market cap of that protocol, if it was moving value, would be astronomical. And that's how you should look at digital assets as well, because that's what they're doing. Email moves data packets, and it's the same thing for digital assets, but they're moving value from one place to another. So that is how the market cap of something like an XRP or an XLM or an HBAR could be astronomically higher than the valuation of companies that we know today on the stock market. And if you had asked somebody, 10 years ago, if there was ever going to be $1 trillion company, they'd have laughed you out of wherever you were. They would have thought that was absolutely absurd. But now we have Google, Apple, Amazon, many of the Fortune 500 and FANG stocks that most people have invested in, NVIDIA, have multiple $1 trillion market caps. And those are going to be superseded by these assets that move across these networks that are transferring value from one location to another. So the next time somebody tells you that the market cap of a digital asset because of a certain price point that you mention is going to happen, or you think is possible, I would challenge that and just explain it the same way that I have here. I would explain to them that these are protocols and networks, and these assets are moving value. And at scale, it's the volume of those transactions and the value moving over the network that's going to drive the price of the token. And it is going to look ridiculous when people calculate it in market cap. I actually think that there's going to be something else, some other metric that these networks are valued by that looks at the liquidity of the asset that's moving the value rather than the market cap like you would value a stock. And it almost always comes up when I'm having a conversation with somebody that's very familiar with markets or TradFi and has made multiple investments. They do the math and they're like, that doesn't seem like it would work. But it actually does if you think about it in this way rather than traditional stock.